Well, if you thought Europe had gone to hell in a handcart with the whole banking crash and Brexit thing, try winding the clock back a few millennia to a time when politics involved wearing a white bedsheet, and you couldn't take a decent holiday in the Med without some fool releasing a kraken. Thankfully, back then they knew how to deal with a crisis. It mainly involved getting together with a whole heap of your friends and tearing up the streets of Athens for some good old-fashioned mob violence, and this is exactly where Okhlos laces up its sandals and steps in. Probably best described as a mob-handed roguelite brawler, Okhlos sees you rousing the rabble as one of ancient Greece's elite thinkers, the philosophers. Tired of being pushed around by petty gods, they decide to roll up the sleeves of their toga and take the fight to Zeus and his pals. But rather than taking a leaf out of old Kratos' parchment and going all god of war on the Olympians, instead they turn to the people for a slightly more populous approach to deicide. After all, this is the birthplace of democracy, so why not get the plebs involved and get them to do all the work for you? You start off in Delphi with a small posse of citizens, slaves and fighters, but as you progress across the worlds you can pick up more and more simply by nudging into them on the battlefield. But even en masse, there's only so much these regular Joes can do. Thankfully though, you can bulk out the party with some of Greece's greatest heroes, and some other familiar faces too. These heroes, as well as hitting pretty hard themselves, help give your angry horde various stat boosts like attack or defense increases, or some, like the ruler classes, actually increase your mob's capacity, so you can recruit more pitchfork wielding denizens to your cause. Something that's necessary as you start taking on bigger and nastier monsters on your way to Hades and beyond. Adding these heroes to your retinue usually requires a bit of careful consideration though. Sometimes you can pick up the odd one or two in the level itself, but most of the time you have to trade away some of your mob for one of 3 heroes at the shop. This can sometimes be a blessing and a curse. These heroes are essentially a level up for your mob, but losing 5 or 10 irate Greeks from your ranks can make things a little tougher, especially as you head into those final fights and take on one of Olympus's finest. There are a few power-ups dotted around the levels, consumables that your slaves can pick up and carry with them. These give you a temporary buff when you hit one of the face buttons on the gamepad, or number keys if you're playing with keyboard and mouse. But Okhlos really is a numbers game. The bigger your mob, the easier it is to smash your way through the levels, especially as you yourself can't fight. If at any time you find yourself all alone, well then that's pretty much it, the gig is up. There's nothing left to do but welcome the sweet embrace of the afterlife. Occasionally though, you may find yourself at the wrong end of a spear or fireball. If this does happen, but you still have a few friends around, then the mantle of leadership falls to another philosopher in your crew. Gameplay wise, Okhlos controls a bit like a twin stick shooter, with the leader on the left analog stick or WASD and the mob on the right. You then use the trigger buttons to send attack and defend orders, or the left and right mouse buttons if you're going for that precision control. And sometimes a bit of precision is exactly what you need in a level, as you bunch up your group to shepherd them past a spike trap, or get them to scatter and flee that cloud of poison. It all sounds easy enough in theory, but the controls may be this game's Achilles heel, as sometimes it feels like you're trying to herd cats. Cats after they've been on an all-night ouzo bender, that is. But I suppose that's what you get for trying to control the mob. As for looks, the game does do the whole pixel art thing we're kind of getting used to with indie games, but they do give it their own unique slant as your characters look like little 2D papercraft people running around some tabletop diorama, smashing up the 3D model buildings as they go. Admittedly and almost inevitably at this point, it does follow that age-old video game trope of there being a forest level, then a water level, a fire level, etc. But thankfully there is enough good humour in the overall design that it doesn't feel too tired. And the developers even go to the extent of acknowledging this fact by calling one of their own in-game achievements the, open quotes, mandatory fire/magma/lava level. But even if you're rolling your eyes at the prospect of this slightly formulaic approach to level design, don't worry, you can tear through these worlds fairly quickly, which is probably a good thing, as this game is definitely designed to be replayed over and over again. Okhlos definitely embraces the current roguelite approach with random enemy spawns, procedurally placed props and obstacles, and a little prayer to RNGesus himself that you get some helpful heroes show up along the way. What's more, a run at first will only take you about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how much destruction you're looking to wreck. And then once you're done, win or lose, you've more than likely unlocked a couple more heroes or leaders you can take with you into your next run. So it's permadeath, but with that slight hint of progression as you unlock stuff. What's more, each replay gives you the chance to go back in and try to take out one of the sub-bosses hidden throughout the levels, or unlock one of the multiple endings, or maybe even try out one of the secret game modes. There is definitely enough here for you to sink a good 10, maybe 20 hours into the game, if you want. But after that, it may all start to crack under the repetition and crumble like one of those ancient cities. Especially as the foundations may be a little shaky. More than once I had the game freeze or bug out on me, just as I was about to scratch another god off my list, and I ended up having to start the level all over again. I had hoped this was just a pre-release bug that would get patched out, but even in version 1.0, Aphrodite was still having none of it. I suppose at the end of the day, it may not have the mythical replayability of something like The Binding of Isaac or Spelunky, but it is still worthy of an epic poem or two, and despite its flaws, I still had a lot of fun with it. And as such, I'm going to give Okhlos a heroic 5 out of 8 bits. Definitely an odyssey worth writing Homer about. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more vids like this, why not consider hitting that subscribe button or showing your appreciation by giving us the old thumbs up. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can give us a shout in the comments below or head on over to any of the social medias at the Kilobits. And for those of you wanting to ascend to true demigod status with us, you can always support our efforts here on the channel by heading over to Patreon and giving us a few drachmas at patreon.com/the Kilobits. I've been John, this has been Okhlos, and I will catch you next time. Bye!